This is Morten from INKISH TV, and I am here with our very good friends from Ultimate TechnoGraphics, I would say a Canadian superpower software company, just doing some of the most amazing software. And I'm here with my good friend Andrew. Great to see you, Andrew.
Morten, good to see you.
Yeah. When I look at let's say the announcements that you have made lately,
which one? There's been loads of them.
Yeah, because there's been loads of them.
Yeah.
I was just about to say that you have new partners. We see Kongsberg as part of in the background. You made one with Horizon. I think you made one with Duplo. And probably more that I have not even seen.
A few more, yeah.
And a few more. I mean, partnerships, totally understand. And I also understand the value of what you're doing, because also we have worked together for some time, so I think I get most of what you're doing.
Yep.
One of the things that I would like to ask you about is that when you look at a machine like the Kongsberg that you have in the background, and you have all these different items on a sheet, right? What is the biggest challenge to be profitable when you have a sheet like that?
Well, for us, this is very, very new. So, well, not that new, but we had a nesting module before. But this is a very, very brand new.
So it's about nesting?
It's about nesting for producing the file or the files that go to this, or the file that goes to print and the file that goes to this. So it's a module for InfoStrip. It's been built from the ground up. So almost a new product, but part of an existing product, so an upgrade.
And so when you have, let's say, a new nesting engine, I take it it's because you want to utilize the substrate more, right?
Yeah. Well, that's the funny thing. That was my initial interpretation of what we needed to do, get the most product on the sheet, make the most of the media. But when you start talking to customers, there's other methods they need, some priority. It's not so much about, for some of them, it's not so much about getting product onto the sheet, it's about what happens afterwards.
So it's the cutting devices
the
and
finishing
the finishing
process
part
as well. Taking the products, once it's cut, off the bed and finishing it. So we have different nesting strategies for different customers.
So that basically means that a customer who invests in your nesting technology basically pick different nesting engines depending on what the priorities are. Should it be utilizing the format and the substrate at the most, or should it be optimized specifically for a specific finishing task?
Yeah, there's certainly different strategies, because one of the things about our solution is it's completely automated. So there's no manual intervention, it's the big thing about it. So in order to meet the customer requirements, you can't just have one way of doing it. You've got to give them options, which may depend on production, it may depend on substrate, it may depend on customer, it may depend on the product. But it's important to have that variation and that ability to control it all, through automation, through XML, so somebody doesn't have to get involved.
I was just thinking, because I think that part of the digital transformation generally is, of course, IoT, where all the devices talk to each other.
Yeah.
So when you talk about, for example, the different needs a printer can have when it comes to finishing, does it mean that the machine can talk to the software for the imposition and to make, this kind of judgment?
Not yet.
Not
no,
yet.
we're not at that stage yet.
But it could be something
possible.
like that.
Yeah, APIs, connectivity, IoT information, share of information, that's all possible in the future. But at the moment, not yet.
Okay.
Not yet.
So what is the most important thing about the new ground-built software you have made?
It's a variety of things: speed, quality, new nesting algorithms, the ability to nest in different directions, different nesting ways of nesting. It's really a complete sea change. You went to see our very good friend in the Netherlands recently, one of our early beta testers who's helped drive the development of the product. So it's not something that you can develop yourself as a software vendor. You have to have feet on the ground telling you this works, this doesn't work, this needs improving, that needs improving. And that's why I think this is going to be a great product for us, because it's been driven by our users. Although we threw a few ideas of our own in, it's really production based.
And if you look at the, let's say, the challenge you have with this kind of things, I was just about to say that one thing is that you have the correct nesting to the application you're creating. But I take that it's also, when you look at the nesting, it's also about having I don't know the English word for it, but let me just jump to something else. I will get back to it in a second. But I was just thinking that because, when you have a software suite where you do like nesting, and I will remember what I wanted to ask you about, do you need to build like templates in order how to do things, or how does it How does it do it?
Trust the software.
Trust the software. Yeah.
There are parameters.
Because in the old times you needed to do templates, right?
Yeah, because nesting here, obviously, if you're giving the software certain parameters in which to work, but then you look at the products, they're all irregular shapes. So no one product, well, potentially no one product is the same as the other, and you're often mixing different products on the same substrate to get, maximum media coverage. So there is no template. You select your parameters, and then you trust the software, or you learn to trust the software, that the result you get is the one you need to print, to finish, and for your downstream processes.
Often when you have like your pre-press and understanding of how you do your binding, it depends. It's very dependent on for example, the usage of the time, consumption of time, also the consumption of substrate as part of the pricing thing.
Yeah.
So do you like two ways communicate to MIS systems and ensure that
we can push back a lot of information
because
as well.
I take that as, maybe what you're showing now is not a very expensive, let's say, substrate, but if you have something that is really, really expensive, then it plays a role, right?
The other part of the equation, you're absolutely correct, it's not just the creation and the production of it, it's feeding that information back, because as it's automated, you don't want somebody there having to count, having to measure, you need that information going back into your ERP or your MIS system, so you keep track of it, you know your costs. So that's been an important part of this, to make sure that we've got the correct data that our customers have requested. And I'm sure there'll be other things that they want along the way. But really good, well-received product so far.
Is it processor incentive to have nesting like this, or?
Is it processor intensive?
Yeah.
Not particularly,
okay.
No.
Okay.
Not particularly, no.
The reason I'm asking is just because our friend Chris from Photofabrik, he was also saying that one of the things that he liked about it was the scalability. Because basically with the new scalability option in your product suite, basically gives you opportunity to say that if you have multiple presses and you have a lot of, let's say, complex jobs, and you need to do it as fast as possible, then you can use that scalability.
Well, as you say, it's one of the benefits. You can have multiple nesting engines working concurrently. So if you take Chris, I think he's got somewhere between 18 and 24 presses.
Yeah, that's true. I think
that InPost strip is driving.
Yeah.
So he can, it's a challenge for him obviously to fulfill and maximise those machines. Yeah. But with the scalability in InPost strip, it allows him to do that, not only for nesting, but also for the commercial work as well. Yeah. So this is across the board.
So that's both for InPost strip and bindery, basically?
Not so much bindery. Bindery is less processor intensive, but to produce the PDF and the JDF for print and production, that's where the InPost strip scalable kicks in. And now also what we've announced here is the ability to have this all in the cloud as well, with a Docker container. Right? So that's even more scalable, lots of different solutions depending on what the customer's requirements are.
Now here on your booth here at Printing United, you got a Kongsberg machine. Is that just a random picked machine, or is it like a special reason why you have picked this machine to show?
Well, as you know, I used to work for a Belgian company. So I got some friends at Kongsberg, and we initially started to talk to them about the camera marks that are a requirement for any table. And then the relationship just grew and fostered, and then Printing United, we approached them to find out if we could get a table, and it's gone from there. So as you can see, it's really nice, shows everything on our booth and on their booth has been put through InPost strip and nested through InPost strip.
So just to be sure, so that means that when you use the nesting engine and you use scalability, it's not depending on a certain cutter, basically, right? Okay.
No, we've got no limitations on media, we've got no limitations on workflows, we've got no limitations on products. You just buy the amount of nesting engines for the productivity you need. So there's very few marketing-based bottlenecks with us. It's a very straightforward business model.
When I go back to all the announcements you have with partnerships during the past month, I think you also know us that we find partnerships very important, but if you think of the partnerships from your side, it also seems like committing to technologies and committing to build something where technology and hardware plays even closer together. How important is that as part of the digital transformation?
As part of the digital transformation, for us it's a reciprocal environment. Most of our partners are building machines that require software to drive them, and that goes for print engines as well as finishing engines. So we build our products to the best of our ability to meet customer demands, And part of that is the integration. I mean, you know that integration's been a massive part of what's been going on in the automation world. Starting at, files coming in, and now it's actually even more important at the back end, because most people have automated most of their production. The finishing automation is kind of the last step to it. So yeah, it's very important to us as a business.
Do I remember right that last year when we met at Printing United, that was like you had like a huge focus on the ultimate bindery, right?
Always on both, because they work in conjunction with each other.
I know, but I was thinking, when was it was introduced? Because they didn't came at the same time, right? I can't remember how old
Ultimate
bindery
is about 15 years old.
Is that okay?
I mean, but you have to think we were one of the first companies to start to drive finishing automation.
But hasn't it been like a renewed focus on bindery then?
Constant.
Okay.
Yeah, I mean, you think we support now nearly 60 devices.
Yeah.
So it's just been a progression.
Yeah.
What I think has changed and what maybe has piqued your interest, it's almost like the market's ready for it now.
Yeah.
Because when you start to evangelize something, you're very early adopters. Now it's much more. People are much more aware that that's something they need to do, especially in short run. Quick turnaround. There's no way they can do it. You can't have lots and lots of setups on your finishing device. You need to drive it through JDF, so every job is literally set up independently.
I am disappointed with myself that I didn't know that bindery was 15 years old. But
no, I told Julie about it. She'll no doubt talk to you about it later.
But I have maybe one excuse, and that is that as you say, the change in market towards the digital transformation that I asked you about is definitely, for the past 2-3 years, maybe since the COVID, been even more, let's say, a headline, right?
Yeah.
And I think that the need for products of one or very, very short run or even more personalized print has just increased the focus on how you use this technology.
Massively, yeah, massively. Because people, we were hearing this morning at one of the breakfast meetings about margins being cut and everything. So if your margins are being cut, where do you make it up? Profitability. You make things faster, you make things better. And that's one of the pieces that people are looking at now to improve their overall margin,
Fantastic. How has the show been for you? I mean, almost ending on first day here.
I haven't got off the booth yet.
Okay.
It's been busy.
Okay. So
really
it's been
busy.
good for you guys?
Yeah, very good. Yeah, I mean, we've got the table's been a good attraction, and then the software, the customers.
The customer
the INKISH videos have been a real hit. Yeah. So no, it's been really good. Only the first day as well. So
it's good
to go.
It's good that this is not an 11-day show, right?
Do you know an 11-day show covered up?
Never heard about it.
Well, my mind's already on it, so I don't know about yours, but yeah, we're already thinking about that in a big way.
Thank you, Andrew.
Thank you.